perhaps there is something amiss. As I understand it, film trailers are meant to drum up excitement for a feature presentation, build anticipation, kickstart the hype cycle and the hashtags, get people talking, and grow a fan base. The best laid plans of movies and men. Lately, however, the best case scenario is that a preview is just bland. Worst case is that the promo sows frustration, that it fails to reach its potential, or realizes your every concern. I'm Inkarnate, and the good news is I get to welcome you back once again to the gut reaction as I weigh in on my impression of recent trailers. The bad news is that this unfortunately brings us to today's unenthusiastic feature, Prey. I'd like to first start with the director of this motion picture, Dan Trachtenberg. Trachtenberg? Whose credits include 10 Cloverfield Lane, yawn, a respectable contribution to Black Mirror with the playtest episode, and Escape Room. Yeah. This has all the makings of another gun-for-hire director like when Andy Muschietti was tapped to helm It Chapter 1. A journeyman filmmaker with an unimpressive resume. So, where did the problems with this trailer rear their ugly head? I'm so glad you asked. Well, from the very start.
Why do you want to hunt? Because you all think that I can't.
Deciding to hunt, not for short-term sustenance and long-term survival, but because someone thinks you can't, is pretty shallow and petulant. We follow up this attention desperation with the baby steps she's taking into hunting wildlife, targeting a full-grown grizzly. How good can this movie be when it's stealing scenes out of late 90s creature features? Moving right along. Of all the feminist ideological dung heaps that has poisoned cinema in the last 7 years, this trend of female characters retconning established lore so that they played a role in origin stories is nauseatingly desperate and lame. Captain Marvel's nickname was why Nick Fury called Earth's Mightiest Heroes the Avengers. Charisma vacuum Michael Burnham convinced Spock to join Starfleet. The first Doctor Who was female. The Force is female. So, not only was this pint-sized teenager now the canon first encounter with these otherworldly species, but she was the one to discover the blind spot these hunters exhibit around mud baths. Take that, Arnie.
I'm not about to let a man take credit for a woman's work.
Prey's title alone telegraphs where the focus of this film lies, and it isn't on the series' prize hunter. As approval-seeking as this concept is, founded on the premise that the main character is fighting gender norms, I've got to believe it is a direct response to the weapons-grade machismo from the first film. Gotta put these toxic white males in their place, even if they do consist of African Americans, a Latino, and the First Nations descendant. While, yes, the characters, or better said, the survivors, of any horror movie should be given personality and personal journeys, because otherwise you'll end up with vacuous meat sacks from a slasher flick, to take the focus of the title away, not just from the franchise brand, but the movie monster is just stupid. This movie is just called Prey. That's it. That rebranding is so indistinct that when people inevitably name drop this film, others will reflexively ask, what's that? You have to preface this, oh, it's the Predator prequel called Prey, which begs the question, why did they name it that to begin with? It's just a failure in how you're spreading the message to begin the word-of-mouth cycle. And for a movie that not only isn't getting a theatrical release, but quite frankly is slated for debut on a lower tier streaming service, you'll need all the eyes you can get, and an agenda-driven premise, a sequel which already promises not to advance a Predator lore that is in dire need of expansion, and a concept that looks every bit as anemic as it sounds. To say that this movie is starting off on the wrong foot would be an understatement. If you'll recall from my coroner's report in 2021 addressing my apprehension at the mere mention of this premise, details regarding the untitled Predator 5 have come out. The film will be taking place not in space, not on a future Earth, but in the past. Screen Rant posts, Predator 5 will focus on a character named Key and her younger brother Tabe. Key is described as a tomboy who fights against gender norms to prove that she can be just as strong as any male Comanche warrior. This franchise dead end has been approved by Elizabeth Warren. This report is brought to you by this week's sponsor, Fuck It All. Do the high standards of fan demand got you down? Fuck it all! Has the wellspring of nostalgia run dry, resulting in the impossibility of resorting to a franchise remake? Fuck it all! Has the soul-crushing reality set in that you haven't made a single worthwhile addition to a film series in what is quickly approaching the 35-year mark? Fuck it all! Side effects may include unoriginality, falling back on identity politics as a saving grace, enlisting Hollywood hacktivists, fan-base apathy, blurred sight or complete lack of vision, virtue signaling, skinning of ritualistic fashion, chest pain. It appears every last concern that was anticipated is now manifested. Arguably the worst part of this is I have to watch this. Not even necessarily for the channel. In all honesty, I didn't review Halloween Kills or Netflix Chainsaw Massacre, and I saw those train wrecks coming from a mile away. No. Despite it all, I'm still a fan of these movies, and especially its monster. So, the crossover was a squandered opportunity. The last sequel was a bust, so now they're going the prequel route. Yeah, that worked out so well for the Alien series.
I'm coming with you.
You can't.
I'm trying to protect you.
Protect me from what?
Getting back to the trailer, if the other natives are going to play the non-believer horror trope, maintaining that there's a rational explanation for all the strange goings-ons, I'd like to remind you that these were indigenous tribesmen whose religion was rooted in totem pole spirits, nature gods, and tricksters. Yeah, they'd believe her. Of course, she has to save the warrior with the predator targeting beam fixed on him, because his natural instinct wouldn't be to evade. If this is set at least 300 years in the past, the predator tech should be less advanced. We've already seen this bungled treatment out of the AVP movie. The most interesting thing about this trailer is it has hints of atmosphere, especially when the colonial riflemen appear. But let's be honest, in all likelihood, the movie and the ideologues behind it will doubtlessly demonize the white man as the true villains of the film. As mentioned, for my personal taste, the franchise was able to survive and even thrive if you remove the AVP films and even persisted as a quality series despite the 2018 sequel. Hell, 2 of the reviews I am most proud of on my channel are my episodes on the first 2 Predator sequels, Predator 2 and Predators. Since at the time of this recording the 35th anniversary of the original Predator was this past weekend, I invite you all to watch my reviews on those films. But this movie...
Why do you want
the lead actress looks to be as
Because you
annoying
all think-
and unconvincing as the John Connor poser from Terminator Dark Fate.
I want to stand and fight.
Before anyone chimes in with, well, Predator 2 set the precedent that there were hunts in the past when the elder Predator handed Danny Glover a pirate gun. Well, gosh, while we're basing sequel ideas off the movies, how about a Predator film in the future? You know, because aliens, starships, space. Do yourselves a favor, watch the fan film Predator Dark Ages if you're looking for a prequel to this series. Watch Apocalypto if you're in the mood for a good movie with Native Americans. I've been Inkarnate, reminding you, I ain't just a big deal, I'm the real deal.
Warn your friends. Warn everyone.